You've seen the news. You've seen the clips. You've seen the TikToks. Yeah, the US government passed a law that would force TikTok to either sell or be banned. TikTok is the world's largest social media network, and if it were to be banned, it would deprive the entirety of Gen Alpha of their daily dose of brain-rotting slop. But yeah, some people also have concerns about the First Amendment implications that basically banning a company would have. But what's important to note is that TikTok isn't just an app or a company, it's the Chinese government. TikTok is owned by ByteDance, which is a Chinese company, which by extension makes TikTok a Chinese company too. This makes it subject to China's rules and regulations on companies. And in 2017, China enacted their national security law, which forces businesses operating there to not only give information to the government if they request it, but to conceal the fact that they're doing so. But people also like to point out that TikTok is banned in China, which means that it couldn't possibly be a puppet of their government. It's true that TikTok is banned in China, so ByteDance is a sister app Douyin for their Chinese citizens, which functions the exact same way as TikTok. The only real difference is that content on one can't be viewed on the other. But China does this for a very specific reason. It's because it doesn't want their citizens to be consuming Western content. That's why China has their own separate apps for pretty much every service that the West uses, from Amazon to Instagram. Maybe you've seen the congressional hearing, where Senator Tom Cotton interrogates TikTok CEO Shou Zi Chew over his affiliation with the Chinese Communist Party. Chew had to repeatedly clarify that he's Singaporean, which ended up going viral. Plenty of people now have this misconception that TikTok has nothing to do with China. But just because Chew is Singaporean doesn't mean TikTok is as well. So, fine. Maybe China does have a lot of control over TikTok, but should we be concerned about it? In short, yeah, we should. This is for two main reasons. The first one you probably hear about is privacy concerns. TikTok collects a weird amount of data from their users. This ranges from IP addresses, location data, and most concerningly, biometric data. On that last one, TikTok is pretty vague about what that entails. Their privacy policy calls this face prints and voice prints, but experts aren't really sure what that means. TikTok doesn't explain what they'll do with this information, or how they'll seek consent before taking it. They could just be doing this to give users secure access to the app, but it could also be used for mass re-identification and surveillance. It's not like we should be giving TikTok the benefit of the doubt on this either. When Forbes reported that a team at ByteDance was planning on surveilling certain US citizens, TikTok tried to claim it wasn't possible, as precise GPS information isn't collected by the platform. Of course, later it was found that the data of two journalists and their close contacts was accessed by their employees in China in order to find the source of leaks that met with said journalists. The data accessed includes the aforementioned IP addresses, which can be used to approximate a user's location. And if I'm a journalist, of course I want China to know exactly where I am. It's not like there's anything to worry about there, right? Privacy isn't even my biggest concern though. What you should be scared of is that TikTok can and will push the content that the CCP wants you to see. And I'm not talking about the Israel-Palestine conflict. People have been talking about banning TikTok for these reasons long before October 7th. Anyone telling you otherwise is acting in complete bad faith. TikTok has been blocking videos pertaining to human rights violations in China, such as those that refer to the Xinjiang internment camps or the Chinese persecution of the Uyghur people. In that same hearing with Senator Cotton, CEO Chew dodged questions on this until Cotton moved on. Other topics that they've banned include those relating to Tibetan independence and the Tiananmen Square massacre. There's also evidence that TikTok has been influencing perception on other conflicts, like the Russian and Ukraine war. A study from NewsGuard showed that within minutes of creating a new account, users were incredibly likely to be fed Kremlin propaganda about the war. If TikTok is so willing to ban content like this if China wills it, that has extraordinary implications. If so many US citizens are using it, Chinese misinformation could be influencing our elections. And when the US government announced the bill that could ban or force TikTok to sell, these worst fears were realized. When users logged into the app, they were greeted with a message that told them that the US government was planning on banning TikTok, with no clarifications on what the bill would actually do. They encouraged users to call their congresspeople about this ban, which, naturally leads to extreme death threats against senators. Just judging by the reaction that this bill has had, yeah, I think we should ban TikTok or force it to sell. China is so worried about Western media that they'll ban any sort of influence the US would have there. Why shouldn't we be just as wary towards them, especially when they've been openly spreading propaganda and using our data with malicious intent? The world is in a very dangerous place right now, and we can't be letting adversarial countries control the content we consume. Trust me, if TikTok is banned, other platforms just like it will pop up. You'll get the same brain-rotting media, just without the influence of the Chinese government. But if you disagree with me or feel like I left anything out, feel free to leave a comment and I'll do my best to respond. If you enjoyed the video, I'd strongly encourage you to like and subscribe. These conversations are important to have, and I'm always going to be pushing to find the right and clear answers. Thanks for watching.